Hello, rollers. Welcome back to another episode of Infodump. I hope your summer break was as good as ours, or is, if you're still on summer break. My name is Colin. I use they and he pronouns. I am one half of your hosts of Infodump, and I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co-host.
My name is Hannah. My pronouns are they, them, and I am your other host with the most of Infodump. Welcome back.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to be back. It's I missed you. I missed this. And of course, rollers, we miss you also.
Very much.
Probably.
It's hot in the Bay right now.
It's
for once.
Toasty. All the windows in my little recording studio were open and now they're closed, and I just can feel my internal temperature slowly rising as my own body heat warms this little studio up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hannah, how you doing?
I am doing okay. I teach during the school year, so I am off for a few months.
Yeah.
And really enjoying the opportunity to connect with friends and travel and just sort of like reset back to normal.
Yeah.
It's not a very chill time in the world, so one must work to find a chill time for themselves every once and again.
Very much so. Yeah.
What about you, Colin? How are you doing?
I am also good. I have been traveling a lot, as you know, listeners. I have been in Vietnam and I have been in upstate New York. Oddly enough, both places, very similar weather. Totally different vibes.
That is crazy.
80s to 90s and humid in both places.
And also at completely different latitudes.
Right?
One notices.
Yeah, it was weird. New York had a little bit of the unpleasant smoke of wildfires blowing in, and then 2 rainstorms kind of took care of that. So, yeah. And
from us here in Cali, by the way, for any of you dealing with wildfire nonsense, we are thinking of you. We have also been through similar things. And so wishing health and safety to everybody affected by the wildfires right now. I heard not just in the US, but also in Europe, some pretty crazy wildfires going on.
I have been reading about that as well. I believe at least a couple of our friends are in Europe. So I think you are in relatively safe spaces and not the south of France. But if you're there, holy fuck, stay safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire is scary.
Yeah. Fire is, it's cool. And we like it because debatably it's allowed us to do everything else that constitutes what we call civilization, starting from fire. But also when it's large and out of control and unintentional, it is scary.
Shout out Prometheus.
Yeah.
For all
Thanks,
that.
buddy. Sorry about the eagle.
Sorry about the eagle.
Right? And I think also in this breath, I will add it's an exciting time for us at the Roll Report professionally, I guess, for me. So if you have not already checked out Random DM's Curse of Strahd on D8 Dungeon, that is alternate Thursdays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/D8, the number dungeon. I have finally got to DM my first session, which was super fun. So you can catch us in theory. Next ones are Thursday, July 30th, depending on what time this comes out. And then also August 6th and 20th. And also next Friday, August 7th, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe. I'm going to DM a Rapscallion game for Diversity Save's First Friday fundraisers. Come hang out. It's going to be a great time and raising money for a good cause with the usual sort of send them $50 and they get to pull a fast one on me. Or send me $50 and I get to throw a Leviathan at them. Also fun. So yeah.
I feel like that would really change our home game if we could just pay you to do certain stuff.
Hey, I am eminently bribable.
Yeah.
No one's tried yet. This is the thing. No one's tried.
I was once part of a campaign where a friend of mine asked the DM if we could do something, and she said no. And the friend opened their wallet and was like, "What if I slid you a crisp $20 bill?" And she still said
and
no.
DM goes, "Oh, okay. That's a DM with principles.
Yeah.
I like it." I have no such principles. So if you would like to bribe me heavily to either torment my players or have my players torment me, tune into Diversity Saves next Friday, August 7th, and check out our Rapscallion game and send some money in for, unfortunately, not directly to me, but I'll pretend it is. I'll take the bribe, even though it will be going to a good cause.
What good cause has Diversity Saves supported in the past? Do you know?
Yeah. That is an excellent question that I am unprepared in this moment to answer. I believe they have supported projects like the Trevor Project, Trans Lifeline, and I'm going to say similar organizations. I'm sure, why not? I'm going to take a quick moment to
pull up the list.
See if I can pull up their website and list. There we go. diversitysaves.org. That seems like the right thing. So they also provide small grants to creators that applied for different projects. So you could do that. They are a tax-deductible organization themselves, so you can donate to diversitysaves.org. And let's see, probably in their About section is where we want to do the thing. The organization itself composed of passionate BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, neurodivergent, and disabled TTRPG creators, actors, and fans. They distribute grants to specific organizations and creators from marginalized communities to fund projects in creative pursuit. And in their fundraising... No, they don't have a long list. So tune in, stay tuned to our social media. I will announce this once I know. But it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like they've supported some great causes and some great creators in the past. So, and I'm also sure it'll be very fun to watch you run Rapscallion. I had a lot of fun playing with you. So,
I hope so. I had to remind myself of the rules and be like, what is happening here, and what can I what can I get done in a one shot? It was also the how do I want it? Yeah, fun thing structure.
Rapscallion can get pretty chaotic pretty fast.
I did have to say, for listeners that are at all passingly familiar with this, right? Rapscallion is our pirate RPG based with the Powered by the Apocalypse system. I decided to not let anyone play the captain archetype, the playbook for this one shot. Because I was like, well, for one, part of the thing is you have an unrest track that kind of keeps track of how your crew feels about you based on your stated goal and stated playbook style of fuck everyone else over to get what I want.
Right.
That you get a token, you get a thing when you screw someone else over in pursuit of your own ambition. And that, as I found out when GMing a slightly longer than one shot length game, was problematic.
Yeah.
So both the fact that I don't think the unrest track can really fill in a one shot, and just the nature of that playbook being a little fuck your friends over. I was like, I think we can do without that specific one for this.
It's a little dicey as a playbook. So I get, as the person who did play as the captain in our little one shot, I can completely understand removing it for now. There's a lot of other really cool archetypes to play in that game.
Highly recommend checking out the thing, and tune into our Diversity Save stream next Friday. Hannah, there's a lot of news to talk about. Should we talk about the news?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we roll these for it?
No, I actually think you should go. You should go first.
I should go. Okay. So big news today, as we were recording this, which some of you may be aware, Jon Hight has resigned, or is stepping down from his role as president of Wizards of the Coast. Now, something that I found very interesting, right? This has gotten coverage in, it broke, as far as I know, first in gamesindustry.biz, also got coverage in EN World and with our friends at Rascal and Chris Hutton at TTRPG Insider. Now, the thing that I find most interesting, all of these things agree. The reason we know this initially was a SEC filing. This is like the company had to file a thing with the Securities and Exchange Commission saying our president is stepping down effective September 1st and then will continue as an advisor. So it then seemed like after someone asked Wizards of the Coast about this, they issued a statement. So I'm going to start there.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Hight has resigned after 2 years on the job. And, being the slight conspiracy mind that I am, I'm like, it seems like Wizards of the Coast did not really publicly announce this until someone asked them about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, maybe not prepared with a narrative about this. I know that Hight has been around the company for a while. I think he is if I remember correctly, he's about a 15-year vet of Wizards.
Yeah.
He's been around for a good long time.
Worked for Blizzard for 13 years and has overseen, the last 2 years of Wizards of the Coast product itself.
Yeah. A lot of layoffs at Wizards in the last few years and a lot of shuffling about in the C-suite. Not very reassuring. Even though, based on what I know from TTRPG Insider, Hasbro has reported that Wizards is doing pretty well. Particularly Magic of the Gathering and D&D are doing very well. Magic of the Gathering, of course, slightly ahead. Magic the Gathering is Wizards' cash cow. It will be until the end of time.
It will be forever.
And also while Gen Con is going on.
Yes.
So
as they're about to make some and very highly anticipated announcements this weekend. Yeah. So according to TTRPG Insider, who at this point I'm like, practically gospel as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for continuing to provide quality journalism, Chris. Not a lot of details have been publicly announced, or is any insiders talking? It is a week after Hasbro's earnings report. Which, among other things, noted that the company lost $56 million canceling video game projects.
Yes.
There was the canceled one from Giant Skull, where initially they were working with Giant Skull, and that is done. I believe so far it seems confirmed that Warlock is still on track to release next year.
That is what I've heard as well.
One of their other games is still on track, which I'm not remembering off the top of my head right now.
Not too long after the departure of Jesslyn Zillow either.
Yes.
There's been some real movement over at Wizards. And by movement, I do mean like exodus.
Yes. Yeah. It does not give me a great vote of confidence in, let's see, how do I want to put this? In what Wizards is going to be doing with D&D. We've already talked a lot about how there seems to be really going for like all in on digital products and bringing third-party content to D&D Beyond under their like proprietary website. And moving in this weird software as a service model. We've also talked about their missteps in assuming that the boom years of 2020 to 2024 will ever be recreated until the next pandemic hits. I say next because let's be real, in this country right now looks very probable.
Yeah. It's very hard not to speculate. When the information that we're being given is so slim on the ground, and when this and just like kind of like the context in which this occurs, directly after the quarterly release meeting and directly before a big weekend for them at Gen Con, after the exit of a bunch of veteran designers, a bunch of the C-suite, very profoundly strange. A profoundly strange and sudden exit. And just very, very little information about it. It does not seem like a good situation.
It's really not a good look. And because in the absence of information, we get to wildly speculate. We can both wildly speculate and and also look at what has happened in his tenure in some ways. And I would again point to Rascal as having a very comprehensive, this is what has happened in his time. Wild speculation. I wonder if someone higher up at Hasbro was like, all right, well, Magic's doing great, but you've really been fucking up everything at D&D right now. If we're canceling all these video games and losing $50+ million, what are you doing? And or depending on who comes in next, is it in any way a tacit admission of failure, of course correct, right? Because I could see if whoever comes in is someone who loves the game and has a history, maybe even with one of the many more prominent third-party companies, I'm like, oh, are you bringing in someone that loves tabletop games and is going to be less focused on making us pay for every single digital product that you produce?
Right. Do they have their eye on somebody for the gig? Is that what it's about?
We'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah.
But there, that's the wild speculation I got right now. Is just like, can I dare to be an optimist?
I think that's very optimistic. I would imagine that no one at Hasbro has ever contemplated whether or not anything sparks joy in their entire lives.
It sparks market shares, then we're excited about it.
I cannot imagine them ever picking somebody who is a hobbyist, like a true dedicated, veteran of the craft, lover of the craft, over somebody who will cynically reduce D&D down to its core value, which is to them entirely monetary.
Yeah.
I think there has been a lot of stuff going on in terms of guiding the game in the last few years, but 2 years is a shockingly short tenure. It is so short that I would imagine it would be very difficult to account for his value and impact, because in 2 years, are you really even implementing your own plans, or are you simply mostly resolving the plans of the person who came before you?
I mean, as we look at this, my sense is the latter. It seems like Jon Hight canceled or concluded a couple of previous ideas and projects, and maybe debatably has been laying some groundwork. So Jon Hight was brought in as president of Wizards of the Coast in 2024 after Cynthia Williams resigned. And I think we talked about this at the time. That was part of 5.5 being done. And Jeremy Crawford and help me out.
Jeremy Crawford,
other main designer leaving. Who then went to Daggerheart or went to Darrington Press. Good for them. So Jon Hight came in after working for 13 years overseeing Blizzard's different video games, especially Warcraft. At the time, okay, you're doubling
Chris Perkins. Sorry, I had to look back at my notes. Chris Perkins. Sorry, you. Chris. Our bad.
Yeah, totally. Should know all these names. So at the time in 2024, we're like, well, this is this is the move. Hasbro wants Wizards and D&D specifically to be doubling down on video games, on digital products, on whatever version of that we want. However, during his tenure, Giant Skull canceled their D&D themed action RPG game that had already been, I think, had some amount of money changed hands, some amount of like things. Jon Hight announced multiple times like that this was happening. Also, whatever, and under the general window purview, also there was a G.I. Joe video game that has been, maybe shelved, and maybe its developer is now gone. Skeleton Key was working with them on a horror themed game that is now gone. And lest we forget the long, drawn out, sad death of Sigil and the virtual tabletop that had been in development on.
Oh my God, I forgot about Sigil.
Right? Let's not forget about that. Because that was like, again, as we said at the time, that was like, well, we don't know what you're making, so we're going to give you no money and just let you slowly, collapse.
Well,
right?
If I recall correctly, the plug was pulled on Sigil very abruptly as well,
Yes.
where it debuted with a fairly disappointing alpha, and then was pretty much subsequently gutted within days. And was then running with a skeleton crew until they formally announced that they were done with it. So there have been, this is not the first time in the last 2 years that we have been talking about something D&D related, like a project that has ended, or a person who has left the company who seems to have left very suddenly, or which seems to have ended very suddenly. It kind of seems like there is something going on behind the scenes that is making these particular exits and endings very abrupt.
This is where I'm going to hold on to my optimism that maybe whoever has that authority to hire and fire Wizard of the Coast president is like, you guys are fucking up our moneymaker. Stop. How do we course correct here?
Yeah.
I mean, lest we forget also, Jon Hight could have recognized Wizards of the Coast First Union and chose kind of not to, antagonized, and I think, some amount of typical capitalistic unions are bad bullshit going on. That which would have been an easy, just a layup of a win. To just
at least in terms of community optics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That we'll, this will maybe develop further. We'll learn more about what was happening. Maybe someone on the inside will be speaking out. But what I'm left with as I look at both how this was announced today and the tenure of Jon Hight, I am left with disappointment.
Yeah.
I would like to give D&D and Wizards the benefit of the doubt for my affection for the game itself and its many years of history and the joy it has brought me, and the fact that, let's be real, it also helps pay a lot of my bills right now during the school year, running games for kids and whatnot. I am disappointed with Jon Hight's tenure as lead, and I'm disappointed with Hasbro. And I would really like to hold on to that optimism and hope that they bring someone in to course correct in a more acceptable direction. But
hello, everyone, and welcome to your mid-roll. It is I, your host, Colin, here to thank you once again for listening. It is so nice and so important, and it feels so good that you are here with us. And also to remind you that If you never want to hear me say that again, if you just are excited about the show, if you love what we're doing, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/therollreport, where also, for as little as a single $1 a month, you can submit questions for our interview guests. Only our friends and supporters on Patreon can submit questions, and only they will get to hear the answers. We've got some really incredible guests coming up as usual, and if you want to hear their answers to your questions, head on over to Patreon. Also, you can follow us on social media. We are at The Roll Report Cast on Instagram and TikTok, and now on Blue Sky. Ooh. Follow us there for announcements about upcoming guests once they have been booked, and then you will find out if you have interesting and amazing and unusual questions for all of them. But thank you so much for listening. That's really all. We are so grateful you're here with us and hope you are enjoying this episode. Back to the show.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's a very difficult time to be a fan of D&D, which is disappointing because it should be the best time in the last 20 years to be a fan of D&D. We have a new half edition. We have like a bunch of content coming out constantly. More people are aware of the game than they've ever been. It's more popular than it's ever been. And still, like, just to watch the people who own and creatively control it just kind of be spiraling out of control, it seems, is pretty distressing. You are correct that I think the D&D community at large has had to afford Wizards a lot of goodwill in the last 6 years.
And they're burning through it.
They're burning through it.
Setting it on fire.
Constantly. And I think it is very unfortunate that this comes not necessarily as like a huge monumental blow. It more comes as a, oh man, another one. Which is not, I imagine, the way that you want to be remembered as somebody who's like a 15-year vet at a company. Like, you sunk 15 years of your life into this company and you became the CEO. And some of the nicest things that people have to say about you is, oh, well, all of the fuck ups of the last 2 years can't possibly be all your fault.
We can pretend. This reminds me, on the side, I am curious, as someone who does not play World of Warcraft, what can be said about his 13 years largely heading up that specific endeavor, and any changes or updates or things that were happening, and like, was that an area in which this person excelled, as opposed to their time heading up Wizards, which I can confidently say they did not excel?
It's a good question. I would love to hear from hey, this is we deal with one group of wizards. How was he over at the on the Warcraft project?
Rollers, surely some of you play or have friends that play World of Warcraft. Please, I assume. Let us know in the comments, or, send us an email, therollreport@gmail.com. If you know what's been going on with World of Warcraft under Jon Hight's tenure, I want to know.
Yes,
maybe we'll talk about it. You'll be our next episode. Anyway, we'll see who comes in, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as soon as we know.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. All right.
Well,
Hannah, what do you got for me today?
My news is not better. Unfortunately, lots of bad news from the TTRPG space. We haven't been here to discuss what is going on at Paizo, but I feel we would be remiss not to. In June, for those who do not know, I can't imagine most of our viewers don't, but if you don't know, on June 8th of this year, Paizo released a statement regarding a layoff of 12 of their employees and a reduction in a lot of their auxiliary supports, including Foundry and a reduction in flow of official scenario releases, among other things. And now, speaking of unions, Paizo has one. So the layoffs have been coordinated with United Paizo Workers Union to be as compassionate and supportive to those employees as
bare
possible.
minimum you could do.
Right. But Paizo is a very small company. A reduction in workforce of 12 employees is not a small hit. And in the How We Got Here section of their release, they thoroughly outline how the bankruptcy of Diamond Comics, which I mentioned not too long ago, has been directly responsible for what is going on over at Paizo. Paizo, of course, the publisher of both Pathfinder and Starfinder, was in an exclusivity contract with Diamond Comics to publish their hard copy books. And when Diamond declared bankruptcy, their loan holder, JP Morgan Chase, came over and claimed a lien on all of their products. Basically, the way that Paizo and other small indie developers' relationship with Diamond Comics worked was that Diamond Comics would print the product, and then when they made a sale of that product by sending it to perhaps a bookstore, Amazon, among others, any retailer, once the book was sold, they would pay a portion of that sale back to Paizo. Paizo is not the only developer affected by this. There are many developers who are being affected by this in a huge way. And so essentially, when JP Morgan Chase came in and placed a lien on all of their product, they said, actually, in order to recoup the losses of your bankruptcy, when you sell these products, all the money goes to us.
Well, that's just gross.
Right. So that creates a huge problem for all of the people whose books they have. So they have warehouses full of product that the sales of which are entitled to the people whose IP that those products are. But because of the bankruptcy, in order to resolve the bankruptcy, JP Morgan Chase is basically saying, actually, the sales of all those products come to us to resolve, this terrible amount of debt that you're in. Paizo and other publishers obviously sue because that's
fucking crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
That's not. Yeah.
And also, it represents, we are talking millions of dollars worth of product here, sitting in warehouses that they do not see the money from at all. And so simultaneously, Diamond has an exclusivity contract with Paizo. Nobody else prints their books. So
that just sounds like a business mistake. I don't know how many years they had that going on, and maybe Diamond was better earlier in the 2000s, but that is unfortunate.
It's rough. But lots of publishers have some kind of exclusivity contract like this in order to keep developers from shopping around. It is like from Paizo's perspective, it might not be a wise business decision, but from Diamond's, it definitely is. And I would imagine that it is fairly standard, just to make sure that you're not constantly like printing off books with different sellers, and like competing with yourself and also Diamond in so doing. So that contract prevents Paizo from finding another publisher until it is terminated. And so they're in court. They're fighting for like the sales of their own products. Meanwhile, they can't shop around for another publisher until they take Diamond to court to dissolve this conflict. This conflict. A judge terminates the contract. Diamond appeals it, which drags the process out even more. All of this results in a $2 million loss for Paizo last year. They are deep in a money hole at this particular moment in time, and that number is just devastating for a small dev. And so they now have a new publishing partner, and obviously, like they have still been able to sell books through smaller retailers, but they still have not recovered and likely will not for quite some time. So for that reason, they have had to be pretty mercenary about terminating relationships with third-party publishers and sales reps who where that relationship is not like grossly benefiting them, and they've had to terminate people, they had to lay people off. In July, they ended their partnership with Archive of Nethys, and that is a massive digital repository of Pathfinder and Starfinder rules available online for free. And the reason cited was a lack of returns. They were not getting royalties. Essentially, the way that it would work is that the archive, which is staffed by volunteers, would put up the product for free for the community. And if they got any money back from that balanced out, that was in excess of just the amount of money that they need to run, they would send that to Paizo. The archive has reported that actually never happened in the entire history of the archive.
And that makes sense.
And so unfortunately, Paizo has had to pretty abruptly sever that relationship. And this was their reasoning behind terminating their relationship with Foundry as well, is that they are just not seeing big enough returns to justify remaining in those relationships. Very sad. Very, very sad. And also, I think to talk about Paizo is to talk about a lot of indie devs who are caught up in this exact same thing. Paizo has way more money on the table, way more product on the table than most people can afford, better lawyers. But there are a lot of people who are embroiled in this same problem who do not have their resources. And I think this is going to be a huge hit to independent developers throughout the TTRPG world. A very, very sad situation.
I mean, we have been following some of the Diamond Comics thing for most of it. I think we've talked about it at least once before. What I would say is, even in late stage capitalism, as we find ourselves, like Jesus Christ, there's no way that a financial company just gets to take all the product and intellectual property owned by the companies that were in contract with this.
Right.
I'd like to believe that we still have a vaguely functioning corporate law system, if not actual judicial system. Right? People still care about who gets paid, and the people that have the copyrights and IP generally seem to get paid if they can prove that they own them. And I'm trying to remember like what happened to that comic company exactly, why they had to declare bankruptcy.
Who, Diamond Comics? So Diamond Comics has been struggling for a while. I think that something we've been talking about pretty much since last year is that sales are down for physical product across the board, because as much as like, the AI bubble has convinced rich people that the economy is fine, most people living average day-to-day lives can report to you that it is not. Most people are hurting for money. Most TTRPG companies are seeing some level of loss across the board as people like have to budget tighter and tighter. And
it's easier and cheaper to make electronic copies. Like, let's not forget that. I prefer having a physical book in my hands, but I can't deny how much easier it is. And I'm like, I bundle for trans rights that's on itch this week. I can get 300 games on my computer right now. I don't need 300 books that will take up too much space in my bookshelf and I don't have any room for.
Yes. There's also the Trump tariffs that have had profoundly negative impacts on shipping and production of physical products in this country.
Yeah.
I can definitely spend some time diving into like what happened to Diamond at a later date. But essentially, like Diamond is in the position of many publishers, which is that they are usually in the best of times functioning on a very marginal profit line.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that the fact that they are a producer of so many products for small developers, smaller teams, not Wizards of the Coast, right? Means that they are just inherently more vulnerable to stuff like this.
Well, I think we see that, like everything else, indie publishing is at the whims and mercy of capitalism and sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, go vote for your local socialist.
For real.
If only California got to vote for a socialist this fall, that would be so cool.
That'd be
Instead,
nice.
we don't.
Well,
one thing I will say in response, a small piece of good news recently, as reported Sunday in TTRPG Insider, Paizo and Archives of Nethys do have a new updated licensing agreement.
Good.
So last week, the website said its license was ending, and it looks like over the weekend, starting on Friday, there was a new agreement that accommodates the cost cutting that Paizo needs to do and still keeps the archives content accessible.
Well, there you go. Not all bad.
Right? Yeah, not terrible. So it looks like according to our TTRPG Insider, website will continue to be an official rules archive for Starfinder and Pathfinder 2nd edition. It is a less formal than whatever their previous license, which means Paizo has less oversight and need to do work. And looks like there is like less art assets that will be available. But they are still there. They are still, there's a statement from Paizo's CEO to this effect of like how important they recognize the archives to be as a resource for the community, and they want to do the thing. So, unlike Hasbro, we actually have a little statement about this, and I would say that Paizo's CEO Jim Butler in this press release, I'm like, oh, solid.
Yeah.
Good job, guy.
No, I will say this in all of the reading and research that I've done about this, I do see Paizo pretty consistently, leadership at Paizo, employees at Paizo, really doing their best to be upfront and to be conducting themselves with integrity through what I can only imagine is an extraordinarily difficult time for the company.
Yeah.
And I kind of brought this story up in part to be like, hey, look at the way this company did their layoffs, where I believe based on the statement that Paizo made, my understanding of the layoffs is that employees were afforded a decent amount of time and knowledge that the layoffs were going to happen. All of this in coordination with the union. Employees were given the opportunity to volunteer to be laid off. So that they could make the best choice for them. Employees were paid a severance package that was a week of pay based on how many, with 1 week for every year that they've been with the company, at a minimum of 2 weeks. And they also have an 18-month recall option. So if the company gets to a place where they can't afford to rehire them, part of the agreement is they will do so within the next 18 months, which is huge. Like those
not
concessions
all corporations are shitty.
Right. Not all corporations are shitty. It particularly helps when they have a union. They very rarely are not shitty of their own free will.
I mean, fair. God, there's some statistic that I'm going to mangle about, like, in the 50s to 70s, like 40% of American workers were part of a union, and it has dropped precipitously to like 3% now. Like something fucking horrifying. I'm like, oh, right, this is part of the reason why we can't have nice things.
Yes.
Hey,
anyway,
join your union if
join
you
your
are
local union.
a person that can be unionized.
Yes.
We are pro labor over here. Since we're doing a lot of it. despite not being a Pathfinder, Starfinder devotee, obviously I would like Paizo as a representative of a good company that seems to treat their people pretty well to ultimately succeed and hopefully be able to hire all those people back.
Yeah, wishing them all the best, truly.
Yeah, fucking
it sounds like a really hard
times.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So, with an eye on the time, would you like to do some horror stories? Not from the news. I know we kind of just told some from the news.
Oh God, I mean that's one.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Now, I actually do not have a horror story. I have just a thing that I found interesting that I was like, I bet you and I will have a lot to say about this, and perhaps will be very useful for our friends and rollers as well. So, as is sometimes the case, this comes from r/DM Academy. User A Dumb Redditor. Love that. DMs. How do you remember NPC voices? I can do voices fine, not super well, but good enough to make important characters distinct, but I struggle to remember them, especially if it's been a while. For example, there's an Artificer NPC the players love, and it had been a few IRL months since they had spoken to him last. My players were like, what happened to his voice? And I couldn't get it right. Any tips or tricks? So Hannah, you are also a person that I know has a number of very good voices up your sleeves for specific NPCs. How do you remember who you have assigned what particular voice to?
I think this is a very normal issue to have. Especially if you have like a campaign full of NPCs where there's a lot going on. I think it's really easy to like lose somebody's voice kind of in the mix. When I am developing character voice for NPCs, I do a few things. But I think like the core of my advice is like you need to make them weirder. You will remember if the voice is weird.
That's true.
You will remember
That's
it.
True.
And I do this in kind of a combination of ways. I usually pick like a personality trait that I'm expressing like through a character's voice, like they are really laid back. And so like, their voice might be slower or lower, or like, they might drag out syllables. They might have like a specific verbal tick. They might have like a specific way of like really one thing to make any NPC memorable is to give them a bit. And if you, because then if you're remembering the bit, then you can usually remember like, but I am very big on like, especially for D&D where like you have to really sell it, really giving people like an archetype. Like, I do character voices for my characters as well. And a lot of them are like, okay, what's the archetype? For Malibu, it's like, it's kind of my voice, but it's like, it's really Valley. And she like kind of lilts everything up like a question, but like she's also always saying stuff that's like really mean. And
in that voice is perfect.
Right. If I'm thinking through like, okay, how am I approaching, like, how am I doing this voice? Knowing that she is like mean girl. Mean girl.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. If I know that a character is like, rough, gruff, like low, like down here, which is how I do my devil in a warlock's body in your campaign. We're down, we're English, and we're not doing anything that much more than that. Yep. And also playing him like have you ever seen Men in Black? Like he's a bug wearing a man suit. That's the bit. That's the bit that Belafet has going on. I think so much of it comes down to like, are you making this character memorable enough to you? Because if you are, it like that will make it so much easier to jump back into that voice. But if you are that, it's hard to do that if you're having to make up NPCs really quickly. And I think stuff gets really lost. The faster and more impulsively you have to make a character, the harder it's going to be to remember.
There are honestly few things I hate more than when my players go like, "Hey, is there someone nearby we can talk to?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's I don't know, there's a green dragonborn walking by."
There's
they're
a
like, we want to talk to him.
signature-
What's his name? And I'm like, oh, fuck.
There's a signature.
Names also.
Like, there's a signature DM saying yes while regretting actively saying yes. Yeah, that people do. Where it really is like hand on forehead, eyes closed. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I also like, I do think like you can help yourself by knowing what voices you can do well. And like, you know, if you have like certain factions, you can like assign a whole faction like a specific way that they talk. We have like a faction in my game that is all Slavic, all of them.
I mean, it made it very obvious when we were like, wait, why does this person not talk like us? Why do you talk funny? Because you're not talking like us.
Right.
We know that something is wrong with you. You're from somewhere else.
Right.
You know?
It's a very easy way to impart information to your players. But also, if you are going to be like making stuff fast, I think it's really easy to lose stuff. And I think the other thing that I would recommend is be very gentle and forgiving with yourself if you forget.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, do you also, I guess maybe more specifically for DMing than for your characters, make little notes of some sort, like, this NPC, here's my keyword for their attitude, here's my keyword for their archetype, here's that accent, or a couple notes like, high, breathy, posh British, or, you know, low, sassy American Southern, like.
Yes, I do.
Kind of thing.
I think usually like if you have like voices for factions, you develop a sort of shorthand where you're like, okay, this person's from this place, and you just immediately know what that means. But I definitely, especially if I haven't played an NPC very much or I'm making them up on the fly, I write it down. I will say I am an incessant overplanner. So I don't know that like I'm great at giving advice that's like plan less. I'm always like plan more. You don't like making people up on the fly? Don't make them up on the fly. Have them.
I'd almost I'd equate it like I don't always do this. Sometimes I do, but it's like when I worked summer camp and we're like, oh, we literally program 10-minute slots for the entirety of camp. Camp starts at 9 a.m. officially when we like arrive at whatever, you know, park that we'd got to, and we program 10-minute increments or 5 to 10-minute increments the entire day until 2:55 when we leave the park and go back to like the meeting point. And we don't do half of it, but we're like, well, they might get bored. And so you always want to be prepared for the next thing. I do recall, I think this is maybe an advice from, I want to say Matt Mercer, like who has some interesting like DM advice videos up on the Critical Role YouTube and various things. Was like, oh, if I know we're in a dwarven city, then I just keep a table of random dwarven names in front of me because I know they're going to ask for one and I don't want to break the flow of the game. Obviously, that's a slightly different circumstance when you're like live in front of 3 million people watching your D&D game and you'd want to keep going. But also it applies to your home game. If you want to be that level of prepped, fantasy name generators is a great resource to just throw a bunch of them. I absolutely love
fantasy name generators. They're great.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
The length and breadth of what you can get generated on that site is
incredible.
Perfect.
But voices are tough in this way, right? That like you have to make notes on them. And then if you're like not necessarily very adept with voices, like it can be even easier for them to slip out of your mind. What I might recommend for this person who like has players who are expecting a very specific voice from this person, make your players do it. And you'll remember. Make your players, because if they have this memory, you have to run so many different people in your head. Make your players like talk to you in their voice so that you can remember what it sounds like.
Like, oh, that wasn't what it was. What did it look? What did it sound like? What did he say to you last time? Months ago.
We had a very memorable shopkeeper in one of my games, and the voice that the DM gave her, absolutely deranged. Name was Giffy, and she talks with it. She has a sort of like lilting kind of high, like up and down sort of way of talking, and she and she would laugh like in the like she'd like trail off in the middle of a sentence and go
Incredible.
And it was incredibly memorable. And but like when we came back to her, the DM was like, I don't remember what she sounds like. And we're like, we do. We've done the Giphy voice a bazillion times because it was so funny to us. And we just did it back to them. And they're like, right, that was what it was.
Yeah.
Again, because this was a character that they'd made up on the fly. And so they didn't remember Giphy.
No, of course not. Like, yeah.
But like make your players do it for you if they think it was so memorable.
Figure out what sort of notes will be helpful to you, if any. And like, definitely, if your players are like, that wasn't it, I'm like, all right, what was it? You do it.
Is that what you do? Like, how do you keep track of like character voices? What is?
Well, I've got a reasonably good memory, so I don't take as many notes as I probably should, is what I would say. I do take notes on several of my campaigns. I'll make notes of like, who is this NPC? What drives them? Because that helps me remember like what voice I assigned them. Having said that, I've got a small like well that I routinely draw from, which is routinely either, slightly more upper class British, where you go, it's sort of like a little bit softer, and perhaps they stumble over their words just a little bit because they're trying to think of the next thing to say that would be polite. You go sort of like as Belafit, you go sort of a lower class sort of a British, where you drop more of your punctuation and more sort of consonants, as it were. And then there's just like some variety of wander around the American South. And I think I draw from that well very frequently. But I
love being Southern. I do.
Oh yeah.
If I gotta pull something out, it might be this, because I just like to talk like this sometimes.
And the thing that I have realized along with that is, it comes back. I saw this particular idea on YouTube a long time ago that simply by changing your internal punctuation, you can really make the same accent, the same voice, completely different for two characters. If someone talks very fast and they want to keep getting their words out and almost tripping over themselves as they're trying to apologize or say whatever they're trying to say, or someone that thinks in small bursts, you need to get the next statement out, but are always taking a little more time to do so. And remembering that, like, it's easy. It's easy to just play with the pitch of your voice and try to keep something in a particular register, and you get a lot of mileage out of that. Now, all that did not really answer your question. I do take notes periodically that will be if there's a particular accent that I've given that character, or sometimes if I'm like, oh, that is, try to get as deep as you possibly can and hold it there and keep it going, and that's the voice. Otherwise it's basically normal, but that's going. And sometimes that will, for me, change. Like, I can feel it change my posture and some of like the arrangement of my neck and jaw that will lock me back into that particular character. I also think physicality helps a lot. So I was running D&D games at the Chautauqua Institute last week, and what I had meant as a one-shot turned into a 3-shot small campaign because the same 2 people showed up 3 days that it was happening. And I had to keep kind of making things up. And they, at one point, one of them is the druid who wants to talk to a snake. And I'm like, well, a snake is going to move their head, and any syllable with an S is just going to be drawn out a little bit. But getting whatever small physicality is exciting to you to go along with the NPC, I think will also, for me, is very helpful.
It's very helpful to me as well. I do think that like having a physical accompaniment to the voice is huge.
Yeah.
I heard you say a few things. The physicality, I completely agree with. Speed and pitch, I totally agree with. I also am a big fan of like word choice, if you can. Like make deliberate word choice different, like depending on what character you're playing.
Yeah, totally.
And also like having an intro phrase. If it's the sort of thing where like you're trying to get into like a very specific voice, like often, and you're struggling to do so, having a phrase or a word that will get you into that accent or that space. In my group, when we do Aussie accents, we for a very long time the entry word was transgender. And that'll get you right there almost immediately.
Incredible. Yep.
But also
I can see that.
Modulating like different pieces of all of those things: physicality, pitch, speed. Like I say, I do, and this is really right here, and I can feel it right in my throat. They're really far back. Their pitch is like pretty low in my register, and their speed is not very fast. They don't emote very big because they're a snake, and they tend to be very stoic.
Like if their speech was ever fast or heightened, you're like, what the fuck is wrong?
Something bad is happening.
This is bad.
It's really interesting. Like I can even see it on my face. Is that my eyes get really narrow when I'm doing them, and my body gets really rigid. Like I don't move very much when I do Rui.
Yeah.
And with Rui comes from an entire culture of people who have the same accent as them. And so when I'm working in that culture, a lot of what I'm changing is exactly that: pitch, physicality, speed, word choice, and pulling from those, like, okay, what's the personality of this person? Are they like kind of like laid back and like they don't really care about a lot of stuff, or are they like really up and like just have a lot of energy and they move a lot and like you know, you can move through like even one accent in a lot of different ways. And so I think especially if because I do know that some DMs come back to the British well a lot. There's a lot of British accents.
It's a deep well to draw from, honestly. There's a very deep pool of British colonies to draw from.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah. And I think too, like, you know, finding your way in is basically the ticket. Like, do you need to think of them as like you're doing an impression of a different character, like a character that you know really well? Like when you drop into this person, you're basically doing an impression of somebody. Or like, is it that they have like an entry phrase that you can just kind of integrate into their NPC like mannerisms, where it's like they say it almost every single time that they're starting a conversation. There's lots of methods to get in and out of it. I think voice work is one of, it's not my favorite thing about DMing. That would be very silly, but it is a really fun part of DMing.
It is.
It's like one of my favorite things to do. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, user a dumb Redditor. If you stumble across this, maybe we'll just send you a link to the episode. Take whatever notes suit you. And practice and you know, doing all the things. And just a quick summary of the comments. I don't. This is one I'm going to like. I don't. My actions change literally during the course of the encounter. Okay, perfect. Yeah, but then a lot of vocal tics. Yep. Make notes on the quality, cadence, accent, and points like how they present themselves and their vocabulary range. Oh, vocabulary range is a good one that I think will
word
parting
choice,
thought.
Vocabulary
Are they well educated or just, you know, use multisyllabic words frequently? Do they not? Do they express everything as simply as possible? But take whatever notes are helpful to you, or ask your players to remember.
Yeah. And also don't be afraid to screw up. I know I've said a lot of stuff here, but I do want to say, like, literally in our last session, I screwed up a character voice and I had to make like some wild NPC character pivots about it because like in assigning a standard accent to all these different factions. I went in to do Southern, and it did come out Australian, and so they were immediately like,
Incredible.
"That guy's from this place. What's he doing here?" I'm like, I don't,
shit. Sorry, then you just have him cast Gift of Gab, and no one remembers, and you appropriate accent.
Of course.
Wow. Yeah. All right. What do you got?
Well, I have something similar, not necessarily a horror story so much as something I would love to discuss with you.
Okay. I appreciate that we don't frequently go horror story because there's so many. Yeah. However, so many of them do seem to be my DM was a shitty boundary crossing asshole and I left the table. So
yeah, or another alternate is I haven't drawn boundaries with this player even one time. Yeah. And am I an asshole for I don't know, slashing their tires? Yes.
In that case, yes.
Could you not have had a conversation with them, please?
Yeah,
just even one
boundaries.
Time. Okay, so this is from D&D Horror Stories. Okay. But it's more of a question than a horror story.
Okay.
The title, this is from Seaweed Repulsive 6330. The title, have you ever intentionally cast Fireball knowing it would hit your teammates, and was it worth it? Back in the 2014 rules, I was playing a wild magic sorcerer. In our very first session, the party was competing in a tournament against another adventuring group. We were all level 1. My wild magic surge triggered. I rolled on the table and got a 7. For anyone unfamiliar with the 2014 wild magic table, that means Fireball centered on yourself. It instantly caught one of my teammates and me in the blast, killing us both. Thankfully, the Adventuring Guild, or perhaps I should say our very generous DM, revived us. After that, I swore I'd never intentionally cast Fireball if it meant hitting my own party. Fast forward several levels, we were fighting a vampire and the battle was going terribly. Most of the party had already been dropped or driven back. My sorcerer was trapped in a corner, throwing damage spells while trying to stay alive. The vampire closed the distance, grappled me by the throat, and bit me. I was nearly dead, and the rest of the party was too far away to help. I had 1 third-level spell slot left. There was no way out, and no allies were close enough to be caught in the blast. So I cast Fireball, centered on myself. The explosion reduced the vampire to 0 HP, but I rolled enough damage to kill my own sorcerer as well. Ironically, after promising never to hit my party with Fireball because of what happened in session 1, the only time I ever deliberately cast one on myself ended with my character dying anyway. So I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation where somebody cast Fireball and caught party members in the blast? Was it accidental, unavoidable, or absolutely worth it? And I would like to expand that question out to a question about causing damage to your own party, not just necessarily with spells, but also with character decisions. Because I know that's kind of a contentious topic around a lot of tables. Totally. But I'm interested in your opinion on it.
Yeah. So, a couple things. First, I believe I've told you the horror stories about the wild magic sorcerer that I played with, where the DM was like, "Oh, you can roll on the table literally every time you do anything." And how many times my poor Tabaxi caught flesh rot in that campaign was no less than 3, might have been like 7. My poor boy lost all of his fur so many times. And also, this player ended up getting trapped in the ethereal plane and summoning 12 shadow demons that they had to fight by themselves because none of the rest of us could see what was going on. Anyway, so I will also say that my first wizard character, that was also the first character that I took from level 3, where we started, to 20, never learned the spell because they got a wand of fireballs very early. However, they definitely were less careful about their aim, especially if they knew someone could take it. So, That by way of saying, I, as a player, have absolutely fireballed an enemy that was close to, it was like, the barbarian. I was like, well, you have advantage on your deck save anyway. You're going to be fine. And usually I would say like my character like yells something to be like, I'm sorry in advance. And there's a
yeah. They got it.
They got it, right? Now, to the point of this person writing in, I would say also baller way to kill your sorcerer.
Absolutely.
Right?
What a good story.
What an ending. What an ending. I love that choice that you made. I think that was very strong. I think that was interesting. It sounds also like you didn't hurt anyone else in your party except for the one time Wild Magic surged at level 1. So like, good on you. Well done. I think that, as with many things that can generate inter-party and interpersonal conflict, it is best to have some sort of out-of-character discussion before you just start throwing fireballs around a corner into your party, right? Because partly, if you've had a session 0 and that was on someone's lines and veils that they want they want to be checked in with about interpersonal or party conflict, you should be doing that. You should be like, hey, let's stop for a minute. I think I need to throw a fireball in this room that you're in. So are we going to be okay with that? Are we going to be okay with that as players? And how can we address it after the fact as characters, because we know this is going to make our characters have some feelings about this thing. The larger question of like making character decisions that will negatively impact other people's characters or the players themselves also seems like something that should be addressed out of character ahead of time, before the session, if you've got a group chat going on, or like as everyone's settling in before you start play. Because at the end of the day, we're all playing these games to collaborate, to have fun with our friends, maybe new friends if you found your group online or walked into your local library or game store. And when a player starts throwing fireballs at their allies because an enemy happens to be nearby and they just got the spell and they want to do the biggest boom they can. Or if you're like, well, my character's backstory is this thing that is directly in conflict with your character and their stated goals now. When you don't talk about it, you get people that are unhappy. And then someone starts saying no. And then you're not really playing collaborative storytelling. You're playing herd the cats and stop them from eating each other's face off. And nobody likes that game. That's not a fun game. Even the cats don't like that game.
They didn't start playing it because they like it.
They didn't. No. So I think that's what I'm going to say. Like many things that we've talked about, like the key is to communicate. A DM, talk to your players. Players talk to your DM. Players talk to each other. Everybody needs to be somewhat on board for major character decisions that impact other players and their characters, or a wild magic sorcerer fireballing themselves is usually just funny and like sometimes unavoidable. I'm a little bit looser there than like specifically targeting your spell, right? And because I think we have, in fact, in our game, had our wild magic druid, oddly, I think has done, turned himself blue. I don't remember if that is also how Ashin became 4 feet tall.
It is.
It is. It was another wild magic surge.
Yeah.
And I don't
think from him, I think that was because of the moon. That was the moon wild magic that shrunk her to 4 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. But like a lot of preemptive communication, right?
Yeah, accidents happen when you're playing wild magic, sorcerer, or whatever version of your wild magic you're doing. Accidents can happen. But if you're doing it intentionally, if you're doing it on purpose, you should be talking to people.
It's so interesting that you bring up our campaign, where our wild magic druid has accidentally done fireball on us. And I have on purpose done fireball on us like 3 separate times. And that like when we talk about preemptive communication, a huge amount of that is that from the very jump in this campaign, we were like, okay, these are the characters we're playing. Like they're not good people yet. And I think that like a lot of, we're even communicating in the moment where I'm like, I am so sorry. He either doesn't know you're there or like there's nothing that he can do to make this not do fireball right now. He has a gun that can do it randomly. I do think that this is like a lot of people's issue with wild magic ultimately, is that a lot of people really struggle to consent to other people having this like sort of random generator of chaos that could very adversely affect the rest of the party. And I think because like there's not generally a culture of like okaying your character with the group and only really doing it with a DM, I do think that sometimes we get into situations where the issue that people are taking are with the wild magic. And not actually with whatever is happening, where they're like, oh, I did not consent to having to put up with wild magic all the time.
And I mean, to that, I would say there's a million wild magic tables out there. However, how many people are going to go look for the table where the effects only affect the caster? You know what I mean? Because that, like, to that point, I offer the small solution of like, well, rewrite the table so rather than fireball centered on yourself, it's more turn yourself blue, grow a beard made of feathers that will last until you sneeze. You can only speak in high-pitched gibberish for the next hour. Like, there are ways to make, right? Thank you. I like that one seems pretty good. Honestly, if
Greg's
Shenlong
gonna
ever
have
gets
a field
that,
day with that one. Hey,
that would
Greg.
be so funny.
Hey, Greg, you're gonna have a field. That's gonna be so funny at the table.
Yeah. So there is a way to make the wild magic itself less of a thing. That still leaves the like, well, major character decisions or active spell casting that is area effect that harms your party.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, again, how many DMs are going to take the time to rewrite the wild magic surge table or find the one that affects less people?
Yeah. For
well,
a game where we roll a bunch of dice, a lot of us don't love being involved in like random chance events at the table. Yeah. And I say that for me, I don't like it. So I think you guys have done an amazing job with wild magic. But what an interesting, like, it's so interesting to look at how this game is like a constant exercise of consent, right?
Yeah.
Is a constant like kind of ebb and flow of like what you want and what other people want and how you guys are observing each other's comfort and building on each other's like joy.
I would add the caveat that is, if it's not going to say if you're playing the game right, but if you're playing the game consciously and or conscientiously, one or maybe both of those words, yes, it is an constant exercise in consent and checking in with yourself and with your fellow players or whoever's at the table with you.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I try not. I don't know. That might actually come down on if you're playing it right.
Yeah. There's not a lot of wrong ways to play this game, but if you are not observing other people's consent, that is definitely not a good way to have a good time.
I mean, like I said, I'm glad we don't all focus on all the many horror stories that do that, where we're usually like, look, consent is sexy. Everyone loves it.
What a great story, though. I was so like, what an amazing like beginning and end to
what an
like
incredible
defining a character.
Move.
So
for
good.
Sure. What an incredible move. I love it so much. It makes me so happy. God, I don't think I've ever had a character that got to go out in such a cool way. You know?
Yeah.
No, it's been really stupid ways. The closest one, I think I told us, the Curse of Strahd years ago. I came in, was running like the healer NPC that the DM was like, I don't have the spoons for this anymore. and we're like finishing the finale. We've beaten Strahd. We're like trying to get out of the castle as it's collapsing or whatever. And we're trying to, minor spoilers, we're trying to get whatever automaton is like up in a tower to like into our bag of holding. And I'm like on a broom of flying, hovering over like a bell tower shaft. I'm like, I'm going to jump and tackle him. And DM's like, you're going to jump? Roll an athletics check. I'm like, I'm 2 feet away. Fuck. All right, fine. And I failed and I plummet down this bell tower and take enough damage that I think I did survive barely. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks for making my attempt to do something interesting fail, I guess.
Yeah. Again,
anyway.
A constant exercise in consent. Like I immediately have a bunch of different thoughts about how that didn't really that was not a very conscientious choice on your DMs. Yeah.
It was like, if I'd known that was going to be the next words out of your mouth, it would have been like, well, I fly the broom over the floor and then I do this. I was like, the whole thing was just, I'm a dwarf and that thing, the automaton is like 8 feet tall. I need the broom for height.
Right.
Anyway. Anyway, great story. Excellent question. Yeah,
I think so. And also, I think very definitive of a lot of people's experience of D&D on some level.
Sure.
Is like, is it not just like, is it okay, but like, how do you guys even feel about the concept of making a choice that could potentially hurt other people at the table?
And the follow-up, how do you navigate this, right? I am generally positive, pro make strong character choices that affect other people's not necessarily enjoyment, but affect other people and their characters in the game, but do so conscientiously. Do so while you are respecting other people's agency and consent and boundaries, and check in with them before you just make that decision.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly. Yeah. Oh. Anyway. Oh, it's good to be back. I missed you.
It's good to be back, isn't it?
I missed you, Rollers, and I missed you,
those.
Hannah. This is really cool. Hannah, where can people find you if they want more of you, which they all should?
People can find me and my content at Booger Queen Draws pretty much everywhere on the internet, TikTok, Tumblr, and elsewhere. Colin, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky at the Roll Report Cast. You can also find the rest of the Roll Reports things on Instagram and TikTok at the Roll Report Cast. You can find my cats at No Good Cats. And you can also now find me alternate Thursdays at twitch.tv/D8Dungeon on Random DM's Curse of Strahd. Coming at you July 30th and then August 6th and 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. You can also find me next Saturday on Diversity Saves, raising money for a good cause, playing Rapscallion. That starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And, you can always find us here on the Roll Report.
All right. Yay!
Incredible.
And
do find us.
Come find us.
Look for us. we like new friends and old friends saying hi. Until next time, rollers. Be more like Paizo. Be less like Hasbro.
Actually, good advice. Just generally.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll take it. All right. Go roll some dice.
Go roll some dice.